Why is it like this? Watch. It's like wiggly wobbly. I'm early. Oh, now I'm on time. Okay. That hurt. I'm done. Okay, what are we doing? What are we doing? We are reacting to the wheat waffles and Jazmen, Jaffar. I keep calling her Jaffar, like Jaffar and no Jazmen. I keep thinking of Aladdin. Throws me off every time. She's entertaining to watch. And she has the funniest, like, what do you call that? Digs at people. It's so funny. She's like, you and your two graphs. So I figured we could cover some of it. But yeah. I don't remember the other girl's name. If you guys haven't watched Wheat Waffles in debates, he's usually pretty good. Where I think he falls short is when he uses terminology like chads and shit. But okay.
Hi guys, welcome to the show. Today we have a debate between Wheat Waffles.
Growing white would be white.
Theories in psychology for
Sorry, I'm trying to
compelling research to back those up.
Okay. They get started right away. So
is how much looks matter in dating. And I guess I would say that it's hard to put an exact like percentage or exact amount. I do think they're important. I think where me and Wheat Waffles disagree is how important they are. I think of course they matter, but things aren't black and white. There's a lot of nuance and complexity. I think especially when it comes to dating and mate selection, even evolutionary biologists, they have competing theories. It's not like a big consensus in that world. Even a lot of the, like, I know David Buss is like a big one that a lot of red pillars mostly use. And like a lot of those theories, like alpha fucks, beta bunks, even he has gone back on a lot of that because there just hasn't been compelling research to back those up. I think that what most of the research shows on physical attractiveness is that there's usually a threshold. People want both men and women, it matters, and they want them to be somewhat attractive or attractive enough. And then those other qualities take over instead of like, so if someone's attractive enough to you, you'd rather have someone who's attractive enough, but also smart, kind, intelligent, whatever, versus someone who's super attractive, but doesn't have any of those qualities. I think one of the issues with, I've watched a few of Wheat Waffles videos, is relying too much on online dating and swipes. When we see that in real life, a lot of those patterns don't align with what goes on in online dating. And basically the way that the most prevalent theories in psychology for mating is assortative mating, the similarity attraction hypothesis. People tend to mate across attractiveness, IQ, values, and we tend to like people who we see around us, proximity, and those things are big indicators of how you date and who you will be with. So yeah, I guess that's my main argument here.
Perfect, Jasmine. Thank you so much. Wheat Waffles.
Perfect. I'm just like writing the last couple points because
I'll pause it here. I don't want to get too spacebar heavy. I'm annoying. Okay. Now Wheat Waffles is going to present his shit. Let's go. Bring it.
You said quite a lot there, and I want to just be able to like respond to them one by one. I know it's the opening statement, but I think if we just get straight into the points of contention, then that will be quite solid, especially given the fact that I disagree with basically everything you said. Far and away, looks is the most important thing for guys in dating today, arguably more important for guys than it is for women. You mentioned it's like not black and white, and I guess I'd agree with that, but I say it's black, grey, and white instead. So the way I see it is that there's 3 tiers of men. You've got chads, who I guess, you know, are going to the analogy of black, grey, and white would be white, that they are getting the most easier time in dating today, and they can get away with negative traits. That doesn't mean that positive traits will help them, but they can often get results and success, especially via online dating. using negative game or making mistakes, errors that a lot of dating coaches would pick up on. So their looks is so strong and powerful that it's often compensating for their negative qualities. And then you've got normies who are in the gray area, and they can get some success. They are struggling really hard just because the monopoly that the top 10% of guys, the top 10% of chads, is so strong. So the normies are getting breadcrumbs. So but that's not to say that they can occasionally get success if they put.
I'm going to summarize his position and hers. And I actually just picked up that he said that breadcrumb thing, which on its own would dismantle all of his information or all of his evidence. What Wheat Waffles is saying, well, actually, let me do hers. What Jazmen is saying is, I think there's a lot of misinformation out there. A lot of people are attributing our modern dating issues to evolutionary psychology theories that once were kind of believed, and then that person, David Buss, did more research and concluded that I think it was actually, she didn't say this, I think it's the KY and RF type, you know what I mean? It's like, it's the alpha fucks beta bucks. But it's the strategy, the R strategy and K strategy. Anyways, she's saying that now that he has come out, and he actually came out a month later with the new information. This is why I've always been skeptical. And everybody has still run with the old thing. And then another issue is that, did I get her whole point? She believes in the assortative theory, which is just saying like whoever you marry or end up with is going to be same level of attractiveness, like same threshold of stuff. I agree with that. And then I don't know if she covered. Yeah, that's all I got right now. Did I do okay? Okay, and then Wheat Waffles, his position is that he's saying that he's a really big proponent of like the Pareto principle. And so he's saying that 80% of women are going for the top 20%. I've debunked this already, just mathematically. It doesn't make sense. Okay, don't fall over. And anytime I hear somebody say, anytime I hear people say like, oh, they go for the top 1%, I kind of already think they're a little loony. Because what they're making it seem like is that the top 1% is difficult to achieve. And right now, it's really not. Top 1%, yeah. But they conflate top 1, top 10, all this. And when you're dealing with millions of people, it's actually not as elite as you think it is. Anyway, his position is that looks are going to give you a lot more of an easier time in dating, in moments where people, girls particular, would write you off as creepy if you're attractive and you say it. It's like a 50-50 chance. Oh my God, my dog. It's like a 50-50 chance it could be taken creepy. It has more leverage to not be. Oh my God, Lokai. Did my mic just get all mixed up? Oh, I just turned it up so loud. Sorry. Okay, I'm going to play it.
In some work, a lot of people say that red pill works for them because if they learn game, if they improve their social skills, if they climb the wealth ladder and things like that, they might actually have some results. And then lastly, you've got the black, which is the sub fives, and there's no real options for them besides taking some extreme measures such as moving abroad to Southeast Asia where dating would be a little bit easier, or any country where the average height of the population is shorter, the average SMV is lower, and they can potentially use their Western status to make that women are more likely to be attracted to them because women associate Western people with wealth and their SMV is higher. But in the West, if you're a sub 5, there's basically no hope for you getting a legitimate relationship unless you beta bucks or some crap like that. The next thing that you mentioned was like the threshold theory. I think that's somewhat true. And once you meet certain threshold that a woman will desire you. And I've experienced a lot in my like Tinder experiment that if a woman gives you choosing signals right off the bat, if she compliments you on your appearance, then that means that you pass the threshold, and from there you can actually get the woman out on the date or whatever else, provided you do things correctly. That yes can turn into a no later on if you screw things up. However, the main thing that I want to say on this point is that the threshold that most women have nowadays is so unbelievably high that they're pretty much only looking at the top 10% of men, or maybe some normies if they have a niche preference and have a certain type, like so they might go for a top 30% or a top 40% if he has a niche quality and that's what they desire. But so I kind of agree with the threshold theory, but it's redundant for the majority of men just because they're not even close to meeting the threshold. Like I'm guessing you've often heard women say about they have a standard of 6 foot and above in terms of height.
I was just saying.
And the vast majority of men aren't close to 6 foot. So if you're a 5'10" guy, which is average,
I spend my
same
time
as me,
sitting on my
then a lot of women are
mom's
going to reject you based on the fact that you're not 6 foot tall. So I think I've said a lot about, my main points. So if you want to respond to any of them, I'm more than happy.
Yeah. So I guess my main issue with this is that why don't we see this reflected in real life with dating? So we don't see that, like, for instance, height.
You guys can
I've looked at a bunch of studies. It seems like super tall men have on average like a few extra partners, but that it's not like, oh, if you're tall, you have all these partners. 5'7" to 5'10", they don't see much of a difference. It's like only the super, and even then it's very minuscule. Things like the Pareto principle, the 80-20 rule, don't also seem to bear out in real life. Plus, a lot of times it's actually reversed too. If you were looking at the reverse, it looks like 20% of women get 80% of the men. But what it really is, look deep into it. It's just that 20% of the population is more promiscuous and they're sleeping with each other more so than 20% of men are dating 80% of women. I think this is clearly indicated when you look at like the GSS surveys and stuff, like sexist. Actually in 2022, it's gone down quite a bit. People with no sex between 18 and 30, it's like 12 to 15% on average.
Just to recap, assuming, what is she talking about? Not being reflected in real life. So she's saying that until it looks like women are actually going for these top percenters, whatever, she doesn't really believe it. She would need more data. Sorry, my dog.
And that's 18 to 24. The 18 to 24 range, men seem to have less sex. 25 to 30, there's only 8% who said they haven't had sex with anyone in the past year. Vast majority, upwards of, I think, 85%, and it's almost like 90% for women, have only had sex with one person. Most people tend to have sex in relationships. And I think this is also just like, women will say, or women can put on an app that like, oh, I want 6 foot and above, but these are not the only people mating. I mean, we can just look around. People who are under 6 feet have girlfriends. People tend, like I said, this is the most well-researched theory in the psychology of attraction, is the assortative mating and the similarity attraction hypothesis, that people tend to mate across in a multitude of different on a multitude of different metrics. And so I guess my main issue is, if this is the way that you're saying the world is, then how come we are not seeing that in the real world? How come we are not seeing that it's just really tall or just really attractive people that are able to find relationships and be together? How come between the ages 25 and 30 in 2022, only 8% of men had no sexual partners, and the vast majority of men were with one person.
Where are you getting this data from? Because I've heard completely different figures.
That is the new
Did you
GSS.
mean-
Yeah, and actually here, I think we can put this
Okay,
in.
I'd be more than happy to see the screen share on this, because the chart that I often reference is it's basically a
2018.
hockey stick chart, yeah, where men are
Very low.
having less sex. There's more men that have not had sex in the last 2 years. It's either since they turned 18 or in the last 2 years. I can't remember exactly what it was. There might actually be two charts, but they both showed the same thing, that the percentage of men who were out of the dating market was only like 10% throughout the 80s and 90s and early 2000s. But as soon as Tinder, Instagram, and all of that came along,
Do me a favor and like the video. Thank you.
then the results shot up, and it's went up to, I think, 27%.
So you're looking, there was one 2018 GSS survey that all the incels and the black pillars like used. That wasn't replicated in 2019, 2020, 21. I just sent you, this is Date Psychology did a statistician went through, and you can see all those graphs. I think we can even share them on screen. Interestingly, about Tinder, there was a 2022 study. It was a longitudinal study of 1.3 million college students. And they found that the fraternity members saw a 6% increase in total sexual partners. The top 25% of men saw a sexual increase in partners by 4.3%. The average number of sexual partners in that top 25 of college students was 2. So we're not seeing like, and I can like dating apps, a lot of times, a lot of people are just swiping and then it's like nothing's happening. So I don't always think that dating apps are reflective of what goes on. I think it's 1 out of 5 people in our age, in the, I think 18 through 30, partners that say they met online. So to use online dating and go just by Tinder swipes, which is what a lot of the data I feel like in this sphere you guys use, and then to make generalizations about the general population, I don't think is borne out by the data.
Well, based on the fact that online dating apps are becoming the main way, and in fact already are.
You know what the irony is? The irony of all of this is that like the red pill space was always about like, so what are you going to do about these? Hold on. What are you going to do about the fact that women are going for these top percenters? And so the more that these people try to debunk it, the more that we're going to have horrible men. Like it's what comes around comes around. Okay, my dog is being super needy right now, so I'm gonna go take her for a walk. I know I only just started it, but I'll be back on here. Yeah, I'm coming. I hear you. We're going.